question is that the bill now be read a second time. I leave the call to the Minister for Agriculture.
Well, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and it's a pleasure to rise on something that shows the dedication by the coalition to small business, to agriculture. But I might take the Shadow Minister up on some of his issues. I think there is actually a department, possibly in his electorate, moved to his electorate by the state Labor government in Maitland. There's a mines department. So the whole idea that he doesn't believe in moving departments so quickly falls over when there's one in his own backyard. And of course, we also had the Department of Agriculture that has been moved to Orange. It hasn't fallen over. It's working quite well at a state level. There was another department moved by the Labor Party down to Nowra. So the rhetoric changes depending on the day. We have policy of the Labor Party right now in Western Australia wanting to move departments to Albury, to Bunbury. So this is quite evident. Now, the reason, just to take him up on this issue, the reason is where we have co-located departments, RDCs, such as Narrabri. In Australia now we have the highest yielding cotton in the world. It's been a success. It's created a centre of excellence. It'd have to be called that because if you're the best in the world, then what you do speaks for itself. Member for Wakefield talked about that what we had to do was we had to truncate this debate so we didn't have to suffer the sins of people droning on. He then proceeded to speak for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, followed up by every other Labor Party member speaking for 15 minutes. Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker, I was been an accountant much longer than I've ever been a parliamentarian. So my life in small business, that's how we got ahead. I still have a small business now. We are cattle and sheep producers now. My family, my wife and I are. So what we do is built on a foundation of lived experience. On our side of the chamber, I'm proud of the fact that we have people who have actually been in business, who've actually had that fear that comes on a Friday evening, and no doubt, Deputy Speaker, you've done this yourself, of working out where the wages are going to come from. That is a real sense of realism to understand your responsibility to your staff, because the staff are what make a business work. And it's from that basis, from that vessel of experience, that the coalition is moving forward with a plan to reinvigorate the business community, and it is working. If we look at some of these measures as how they work in small business generally and in agriculture in particular, you can see the difference they make. The immediate write-off for plant for turnovers of less than $2 million of as many items of plant as you wish, as long as that item of plant does not exceed $20,000, has had an immediate effect. And we've seen now specials on second-hand utes for $19,999. So we know that this is actually landing as we speak. You look at the plant around a farm, and a farm that's turning over $2 million, if you're selling less than $2 million, if you're selling $1.9 million worth of cattle, you're doing quite well. You'll be doing quite well. For a family, that would mean that the post-hole digger, you can get 100% write-off immediately as of budget night. The compressor, 100% write-off immediately as of budget night. The welder, 100% write-off immediately as of budget night. Things that are actually manufactured in our nation, and we must make sure that we stimulate the manufacturing industry, such as cattle crushers. They're made in Australia, 100% write-off immediately that night. For panels, for stockyard panels, for a lot of the attachments and farm implements, a lot of these are made in Australia. This is stimulating the growth of this, as well as making sure that properties are refurbished. It is also part of this process that we are reaching out to these small businesses. If they're a corporate entity, they get a 1.5% tax deduction, and that is certainly of assistance. If they're non-corporatised, and to be honest, a lot of farming entities are partnerships, sole traders, they get the advantage of a 5% reduction in the tax to the value of $1,000, a rebatable item. And these are all statements that say that we understand your life. We have people in the coalition who have lived that experience. We understand the whole philosophy of small business. The thing that's beautiful about small business is this: it gives you the opportunity to find your highest level of freedom because you become master of your own ship. You live by your own corporate manual. The results of your endeavours are directly attributable to the money that you actually get, that you can actually bank. In essence, you aspire to trying to find the highest level of freedom by the sweat of your own brow. Now, sometimes it's successful and sometimes it's a tough game, and sometimes it comes unstuck, and that has been the way of business for eternity. But we know that it stands behind the capacity for people, if they're in their own business, they can say what they like. They don't have to abide by the corporate culture. They can actually go forward and present their own views clearly and unambiguously, because there is that greater freedom. I found this most pronounced when I was thinking about a political career. I knew that it'd be unfair to try and do it in a corporate setting. You had to basically be in your own business, because you can't have other people in the workplace basically being encumbered by your views and whether they agree with them or not. So this is another great thing that actually stands behind the liberty of the individual as expressed in its most pronounced form through small business. I also want to note some of the issues that were part of the white paper but have been announced in the budget. And they were the three measures of 100% write-off for water reticulation as an assistance to security, especially security against drought, 100% write-off for fencing, a write-off over 3 years for fodder storage, and that includes grain, that is pertinent to you dealing with droughts. These are incredibly important. In so many areas, if you can get some silage in, if you can get some country laser levelled, and if you can put a lateral in, you have the capacity to better prepare yourself for droughts. And that's the overall part, a part of refurbishing what's on the place that will go hand in glove with the dams policy, which we'll also be announcing imminently. These things work together conjointly. It's part of the plan. Inspire them to redevelop their place, and the government will be part and parcel of the construction of dams of that. What we also have with that is the refurbishment and increasing our capacity. We get the interjections because
Member for Hunter.
I'll take the interjections from the member for Hunter, because what they provided was the grand plan for the Labor Party was the food plan. The food plan, $30 million. That was it. That was it. That is as much as we could get from the shadow minister. That is as much as we could get. The food plan, $30 million. Our beef road announcement alone is $100 million, 3 times bigger than their total food plan. Total food plan. Our announcement, what we've done so far in drought, $400 million. $400 million, more than 10 times his total food plan. The Labor Party doesn't even have a farmer. They don't even have a farmer. The once great party of Mick Young, there is no one there. I think I'll credit you with one thing. I think you might be one of the only small business people who's ever been in business in the Labor Party. And so who are the other ones? 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 You must be able to answer that. Is there another one in the whole of the Australian Labor Party at a federal level? Is there another one? Shane Newman, the solicitor. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But there you go. You got two. They got two. They got two. Two small business people in the Labor Party, and that's why there is no vessel that they live with. They do not have the lived experience of being in business. They do not know what it is like. And that's why there is no formation around their policy. But let's go back to this. If we have a 3-year write-off of silos, of sheds, this also stimulates those people who build the silos, the contractors. And guess where they build silos? In Australia. In Australia. It's in our nation. This actually stands behind the manufacturing sector of our nation. So we're getting the people who are building the crushers. We're stimulating the growth of the people who are building the silos. We are actually delivering the outcomes that not only he's back to tell us about the white paper, which will be released imminently, because he's gone to the telephone, he's rung up to see how many small business people there are, and you know what they've said? You're correct, there's only 2 of you. There's only 2 of you. There's only 2 of them. That's it. That's it. And of course, a government, an alternative government as they see themselves, that doesn't even have the people who have the capacity to run their own business, have no hope of running the nation. And you can see that in how they worked. Their operation of the nation was a debacle. It is a soap. And the soap is on at night now. We watched it last night. And guess who was part of that soap? He was. The Shadow Minister was. The soap of Gillard, the soap of Swan, the soap of Kevin Rudd, and that is the soap of Labor Party economic policy. Labor Party economic policy. And so it is great to come to the dispatch box to talk about the complete vacuum from this babbling brook, from this wandering drone, this babbling brook on the other side, this babbling brook, and because there is no depth. But we have put forward a plan. So you get 100% write-off, so you get the refurbishment of your irrigation infrastructure to assist with drought. This is incredibly important. 100% write-off of the fencing. So that is all the farm produce suppliers, all the hardware suppliers. They're also in the place. And I'll take the interjection again because he just lines himself up. He said, because if you're not making a profit, it is under our government that we've had record prices in cattle, that we've had record prices in sheep, that we now have wool over 1,300 cents a kg, that we have up again today the wool prices are. And we've got record low interest rates. We have the lowest interest rate, and we are providing them. He talks about what we've done. We have got now over $280 million lent out at concessional rates. We've got over 550 people taking those applications. More than 5,000 people have had access to farm household allowance. Under the Shadow Minister, 367 people, and we've had more than 5,000 people who've had access to it. This is the difference. You know how many people they put out concessional loans to? Eight. We've got over 550. The difference is just so profound. It's so profound. But let's go. But this is all part and parcel of the plan. And imminently, we will see the white paper. We will see. You keep talking about it because you're giving me oxygen. You're getting it out. You are a great advertisement for what we are doing. You're a great advertisement for the fact that we have put $100 million on the table for beef roads. You're a great advertisement that we have put $400 million on the table for drought thus far. You're a great advertisement for the fact there are only 2 people in the Labor Party, and you've gone up and already checked they've ever been in business. You are a great advertisement in general for the Australian Labor Party, and I credit you for the work you've done. And even when he looks to the plan, he says, "Oh, you can't dare start centres of excellence to try and bring about a form of decentralisation to inspire centres in Australia to be expert at what they do." No, he doesn't want that. He wants everything in Canberra, because that is where they live. That is the only place that they exist. So it is great to be part of a government, to be a former accountant and to come in here and to be part of a government that understands business. To come into a place where we actually have colleagues who have been in business, to be part of a government that has been part and parcel, that now sees record prices in cattle, record prices in sheep, a huge turnaround in the wool, by the things that have been by the work we've done in such things as 3 new free trade agreements, 6 new live animal destinations, the lowest interest rates on record, and we are part of a government that actually talks about agriculture. Do you know, and I'll close on this, the treasurer of the millennia, Mr. Swan, member for Lilly, the Treasurer of the Millennia, how many times in his budget speeches did the Treasurer of the Millennia mention the word agriculture? And the answer is quite simple. He never did.
I thank the Minister for